What if the movies everyone laughed at in the 80s are actually better than the ones that made all the money? It sounds crazy, but it is true. Some of the greatest science fiction ever filmed was hated, mocked, and dumped in empty theaters. Studios called them failures. Critics called them garbage. Today we call them masterpieces. So get ready, because these 18 so-called flops are secretly perfect. Number 18. Krull. Imagine a movie that cost more than most blockbusters of its day and then vanished like it never existed. Krull came out in 1983, and it tried something bold. It mixed swords and sorcery with outer space. The story follows a young prince named Colwyn. He is about to get married when a giant black fortress lands on his world. Inside that fortress lives a monster called the Beast, along with an army of alien soldiers called Slayers. They kill nearly everyone and steal his bride, Princess Lissa, so Colwyn sets off on a quest to save her. He gathers a strange group of helpers, including a wise old man, a giant, and a band of thieves. To beat the Beast, he must find a magical weapon called the glaive, a spinning star blade with 5 deadly points. The most famous scene is the glaive itself, flying through the air, slicing through enemies, then snapping back into his hand like a boomerang. Kids who saw it never forgot it. Here is the sad part. Krull cost about $47 million, a fortune back then. It only made about $16 million, and it was crushed by Return of the Jedi. The studio buried any dream of a sequel. But over the years, something happened. People found it on video and fell in love with its music, its monsters, and its pure imagination. Today, Krull is a beloved cult classic. It was never a failure. It was just too weird for its own time. Number 17. Enemy Mine. This might be one of the greatest science fiction films that almost nobody saw. Enemy Mine came out in 1985, and the story is simple but powerful. In the far future, humans are at war with an alien race called the Drax. During a space battle, a human pilot named Willis Davidge and a Drax soldier named Jariba both crash on the same empty planet. They hate each other at first. They are enemies, after all. But the planet is harsh and deadly, full of storms and monsters. To survive, they must work together. Slowly, the enemies become friends. Then they become something like family. The most touching part comes later. The Drac, who can have a baby alone, gives birth and then dies. With its last breath, it asks the human to raise its child. So Davidge, a man who once wanted to kill all Dracs, becomes a loving parent to a young alien. The famous scene is that birth and the promise that follows. It turns a war movie into a story about love and forgiveness. Now for the money. The film had a rough production. It was planned at about $17 million, but costs climbed toward $40 million or more. It made only about $12 million. That made it a huge loss. Critics were mixed, and audiences stayed away. But those who found it later saw its heart. Today, many call Enemy Mine an underrated gem. It is proof that the best science fiction is really about being human, even when one of the characters is not. Number 16. Explorers. What if 3 kids built a spaceship in their backyard, and the movie about it got wrecked before it was even finished? Explorers came out in 1985, directed by Joe Dante. It is a sweet story about wonder and friendship. 3 boys share strange dreams about a glowing circuit design. One of them, a science lover named Ben, works with his genius friend Wolfgang to build the machine from the dreams. They discover it can create a floating bubble of energy that can fly. They put it around an old carnival ride, climb inside, and blast off into the night sky. Their goal is to reach outer space and meet whoever has been sending the dreams. When they finally meet the aliens, there is a fun twist. The aliens act just like human kids because they learned everything about Earth from watching our television. This was one of the first big roles for 2 future stars, Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix, and their friendship feels real and warm. But the movie had a big problem. The studio rushed it into theaters before it was ready. The ending felt unfinished because it basically was. It came out right when Back to the Future was ruling everything, so almost nobody bought a ticket. It cost around $25 million and made only about $10 million. Even so, kids who caught it on video adored it. Today, Explorers is a cherished cult favorite. It captures the pure joy of being young and looking up at the stars, dreaming of what might be out there. Number 15. Miracle Mile. Would you answer a ringing payphone if the voice on the other end said the world was about to end? Miracle Mile came out in 1988, and it is a hidden treasure. The story takes place over one single terrifying night in Los Angeles. A shy musician named Harry meets a waitress named Julie, and they instantly fall in love. They plan a late date, but Harry oversleeps and misses it. When he finally arrives, he answers a random payphone outside a diner. A panicked man on the line thinks he is calling his father. He warns that nuclear missiles have just launched, and the city has about 1 hour left. Harry does not know if the call is real or a mistake, but the fear spreads. Soon the whole city falls into chaos as the rumor grows. Harry races through the night trying to find Julie and escape before the bombs land. The most unforgettable part is the ending, which is one of the most shocking in movie history. It is best not to spoil it, but it stays with you for days. Here is the money story. The film cost about $4 million. It made only around $1 million. By any measure, it bombed hard, and it barely played in theaters. But critics praised it, and it slowly found fans on video. Today, Miracle Mile is a beloved cult classic, adored by people who love smart, emotional science fiction. It proves that a small budget and a big idea can beat a giant blockbuster any day. Number 14. The Quiet Earth. What would you do if you woke up one morning and every other person on Earth was simply gone? The Quiet Earth came out in 1985, made in New Zealand. It is one of the finest Last Man on Earth stories ever filmed. A scientist named Zach Hobson wakes up to find the entire world empty. Cars sit abandoned. Breakfast still sits on tables. Every human and animal has vanished at the exact same moment. He soon learns that a secret energy project he worked on may have caused it. At first, he goes a little mad from loneliness. He moves into a mansion and even talks to cardboard cutouts. Then he finds 2 other survivors, a woman and a man. Together, they try to understand what happened and how to stop it from happening again. The famous scene is the final shot. Zach wakes up on a strange, beautiful shore under an alien sky, with a giant ringed planet rising over the water. It is haunting, mysterious, and unforgettable. People still argue about what it means. Now for the numbers.
Okay. Let old acquaintance be.
The film was tiny and played mostly in New Zealand, in only a handful of theaters elsewhere. It made very little money and was seen by almost no one during its run. But critics loved it, and over time it earned a huge reputation. One newspaper even called it the best science fiction film of the decade. Today it is treasured by fans around the world. It is quiet, strange, and deeply thoughtful, and it shows that the end of the world can also be the start of something new. Number 13. Lifeforce. How do you make one of the strangest science fiction films of the 80s? You put space vampires in London. Lifeforce came out in 1985, directed by Tobe Hooper, the man behind the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The story starts in space. A crew flies out to study a comet and finds a giant alien ship hidden inside it. On board, they discover 3 human-looking bodies in glass cases, perfectly preserved. They bring them back to Earth. Big mistake. These are not people. They are ancient vampires from space. Instead of drinking blood, they suck the very life force out of their victims, turning them into dried-out husks that must then feed on others. Soon London falls apart as the vampire plague spreads through the city like a disease, creating armies of shriveled zombies. The most talked about part is the lead vampire, a silent and stunning figure who terrifies everyone she meets. It shocked audiences and made the film impossible to forget. Now for the money. Lifeforce was made by a company called Cannon Films, and it was their most expensive movie ever, costing about $25 million. It made only around $11 million. It was a giant flop that hurt Hooper's career. But time has been kind. Fans discovered it on video and fell for its wild mix of space travel, horror, and pure madness. Today, Lifeforce is a treasured cult classic. It is bold, bizarre, and completely one of a kind, which is exactly why people love it now. Number 12. Legend. What do you get when you mix the man who made Alien, a young Tom Cruise, and a demon with giant red horns? A beautiful disaster. Legend came out in 1985, directed by Ridley Scott. It is a dark fairy tale set in an enchanted forest.
Call it a kiss.
Tom Cruise plays Jack, a pure and gentle forest boy who loves a princess named Lily. In this world, unicorns keep the balance of light and life. But a terrifying villain called the Lord of Darkness wants to kill the unicorns, plunge the world into endless night, and rule over the frozen ruins. When Lily innocently touches a unicorn, she gives the darkness its chance. The creatures attack, winter falls, and Jack must go on a quest to stop the Lord of Darkness and save both the princess and the world. The most famous thing about Legend is the villain himself. Played by Tim Curry under hours of makeup, the Lord of Darkness is huge, red, and horned, and he looks like a demon come to life. Many call him one of the greatest movie devils ever. Here is the money story. The film cost about $25 million. It made only around $15 to $23 million. It was Tom Cruise's only real box office bomb, and critics were harsh. But over the years, people fell for its dreamlike beauty. Its stunning sets, and Curry's amazing performance. Today, Legend is a cult favorite. It is proof that a movie can fail at the theater and still become something people cherish forever. Number 11. The Last Starfighter. What if the video game you play all day was secretly a test to find real space pilots? The Last Starfighter came out in 1984, and it has one of the most fun ideas in science fiction.
Don't be such a wimp.
A teenager named Alex lives in a quiet trailer park and dreams of a bigger life. His one escape is an arcade game called Starfighter. When he beats the game's high score, something amazing happens. An alien named Centauri shows up and reveals the truth. The game was a recruiting tool. Alex has just qualified to become a real starfighter, a pilot in a galactic war against an evil armada. Alex is whisked into space, where he must learn to fly a real ship and help defend a peaceful world from destruction.
On your right.
Along the way, he learns to believe in himself. The famous part of this movie is its look. Along with Tron, The Last Starfighter was one of the very first films to use computer graphics to create its spaceships and battles. At the time, it looked like the future. Now for the numbers. The film cost about $15 million and made about $29 million. That sounds okay, but it was seen as a letdown. There were no big stars, no toys, and no sequel, so it faded fast and was called a disappointment.
We're gonna be famous, aren't we, Odie?
Yes, sir.
But kids who found it on video never let it go. Today, The Last Starfighter is a beloved cult classic. Its charm, its heart, and its dream of adventure keep winning new fans every single year. Number 10. Flash Gordon. Can a movie be so colorful, so loud, and so gloriously silly that failing becomes part of its charm? Flash Gordon came out in 1980, based on the old comic strip hero. The story is pure space opera. A football star named Flash Gordon, a reporter named Dale, and a mad scientist named Dr. Zarkov get pulled into a rocket ship and blasted to the planet Mongo. There they meet the evil Emperor Ming the Merciless, who is attacking Earth for fun. To save our world, Flash must unite the warring kingdoms of Mongo, from Birdmen to Lizardmen, and lead a rebellion against Ming.
Velocity, all drives.
The whole thing is bright, campy, and over the top, with wild costumes and cheesy lines, delivered with a straight face. The most famous part is not even a picture, it is the sound. The rock band Queen wrote the soundtrack, and the pounding theme song, with the crowd shouting the hero's name, became a legend all by itself. There is also one shouted line, when a booming winged warrior yells that Gordon is alive, that fans have been quoting with a grin for more than 40 years. Now the money story. Flash Gordon was actually a hit in Britain, where people loved it. But in the United States, it flopped and disappointed the studio.
Carla, will you please show yourself on my screen?
Let's go. Wait.
Over time, though, its fun-loving spirit won people over everywhere. Today, Flash Gordon is a cult classic, quoted and loved by fans and filmmakers alike. It never tried to be serious. It tried to be fun. And decades later, that choice looks like pure genius. Number 9. Repo Man. What happens when you mix punk rock, aliens, and a beat-up old car? One of the strangest cult classics ever made. Repo Man came out in 1984. It is a wild comedy with science fiction hiding in the trunk. A bored young punk named Otto loses his job and his girlfriend.
What's this?
Then, a tired old repo man named Bud teaches him a new trade, taking back cars from people who stopped paying for them. Otto steps into the weird world of car repossession in Los Angeles. Then things get strange. A mysterious old car is driving around the city, and there is something deadly in the trunk. Anyone who looks inside gets vaporized in a flash of light. Government agents, rival repo men, and believers in flying saucers all start chasing that car and its glowing alien secret. The most famous part is that glowing trunk, an image so cool that later filmmakers copied it. Fans point to it as one of the great mysteries in cult cinema. Now for the money. Repo Man cost only about $1.5 million. Its studio did not know how to sell it, so it barely played in theaters and made very little, but it found a second life on video and at midnight screenings. Critics who saw it called it one of the best films of its year. Today, Repo Man is a certified cult classic, even honored by the famous Criterion Collection. It is proof that being strange and fearless can beat playing it safe. Number 8. Tron. What if you could get sucked inside a computer and fight for your life in a digital world? Tron came out in 1982, made by Disney, and it was years ahead of everything. A brilliant programmer named Kevin Flynn believes his old company stole his work. When he sneaks in to find proof, a powerful computer program zaps him and pulls him inside the machine itself. Now Flynn is trapped in a glowing digital universe. Programs look like people, and an evil ruler called the Master Control Program forces prisoners to fight in deadly games. To escape, Flynn teams up with a heroic program named Tron. Together they race on light cycles, battle across the grid, and try to take down the Master Control Program from the inside. The most famous part is the light cycle race, where glowing motorcycles leave walls of light behind them. It became one of the most copied images in all of science fiction. Now the money story. Tron cost about $17 million and made about $33 million. That was not a total loss, but Disney was let down. They had hoped for a giant hit and got only a modest one, so plans for more Tron movies died for years. Here is a wild fact. The movie was banned from the Special Effects Award.
What's happening?
Power surge from the MCP.
We have to get off this beam.
Because judges thought using computers was cheating. But its look and ideas never faded. Today, Tron is seen as a true landmark, the film that first showed the world what computers could do on screen. It was not a failure. It was the future arriving early. Number 7. Videodrome. What if the television you watch could reach out, change your body, and take over your mind? Videodrome came out in 1983, directed by David Cronenberg. It is a disturbing and brilliant piece of science fiction horror. A sleazy television boss named Max Wren runs a small channel that shows shocking content.
In Pittsburgh.
He is always hunting for something more extreme. Then he finds a mysterious broadcast called Videodrome, which appears to show real torture and murder. He becomes obsessed with putting it on his channel. But the signal is a trap. It creates a tumor in his brain that causes wild hallucinations. Slowly, Max cannot tell what is real. His body begins to change in horrifying ways, blurring the line between man and machine. The singer Debbie Harry plays a woman drawn into the same dark world, which makes the story even creepier. The most famous scene shows Max's stomach opening into a slot, like a living videotape player, where a tape can be pushed inside him. It is gross, unforgettable, and deeply strange. The film even has a haunting catchphrase, "Long live the new flesh," that fans still repeat. Now for the money. Videodrome cost about $6 million and made only about $2 million. It was a clear box office bomb, and audiences did not know what to make of it.
I stole it from them just for you to see.
But its ideas about screens, media, and control feel more true every year. Today, Videodrome is hailed as one of Cronenberg's finest films and a science fiction classic. It asked hard questions about how technology changes us, long before we all carried screens in our pockets. Number 6. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. Can a hero be a brain surgeon, a rock star, and a race car driver all at once, and still save the planet from aliens? The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai came out in 1984, and it might be the weirdest movie on this list. The hero, Buckaroo Banzai, does it all.
1938. Can you imagine what it must have been like?
He performs surgery, plays in a rock band, drives fast cars, and fights evil in his spare time. During a test drive, he uses a special machine to drive his car straight through a solid mountain and into another dimension. But when he comes back, he accidentally brings deadly aliens with him. These creatures, all named John, want to steal his machine and destroy the world. So Buckaroo and his team of friends, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, must stop them. The cast is full of future stars, including John Lithgow as the wild-eyed villain
We got him!
and Jeff Goldblum as a sidekick in a cowboy outfit. The movie throws so many ideas at you that it is almost impossible to follow, and that chaos is exactly the point. Its most famous line, that no matter where you go, there you are, became a piece of pop culture. Now the money story. The film cost around $12 to $17 million and made only about $6 million. It was a total flop, and the studio did not even know how to advertise it. But its strange charm found a loyal following on video. Today, Buckaroo Banzai is a beloved cult classic. It is proof that being one of a kind can matter far more than being a hit. Number 5. Big Trouble in Little China. What if the hero of the movie is actually the useless sidekick, and he never even realizes it? Big Trouble in Little China came out in 1986, directed by John Carpenter. It is a wild mix of action, comedy, and Chinese magic. Kurt Russell plays Jack Burton, a loudmouth truck driver who thinks he is a tough guy. His friend's bride-to-be gets kidnapped in San Francisco's Chinatown, so Jack jumps in to help. But he stumbles into a hidden world beneath the streets, full of ancient sorcery. The villain is an old wizard named David Lo Pan, cursed for centuries. He needs to marry a woman with green eyes to break the curse and become powerful again. Jack and his friends must battle magical warriors, monsters, and Lo Pan himself to save the day. The funniest part is the joke at the center of the film. Jack acts like the hero, but he keeps fumbling, while his friend Wang does most of the real fighting. His famous line about paying your dues sums up his silly confidence. Now the money story. The studio rushed the film out and barely advertised it, then dropped it right as the blockbuster Aliens took over theaters. It cost about $25 million and made only around $11 million. It was such a flop that Carpenter walked away from the big studios for good. But on video, people finally got the joke and fell in love. Today, Big Trouble in Little China is one of the most beloved cult classics ever made. It was misunderstood then, and it is adored now. Number 4. Dune. What if a genius director made a science fiction epic so strange that even fans of the book could barely understand it? Dune came out in 1984, directed by David Lynch, based on a famous novel. The story is huge. In the far future, noble families fight over a desert planet called Arrakis. This planet is the only place to find spice, the most valuable thing in the universe, because it powers space travel. A young man named Paul Atreides becomes the target of a deadly plot when his family is betrayed. He escapes into the desert, joins the local warriors, and rises up to lead a rebellion. The movie is packed with giant sandworms, strange visions, and bizarre villains. The nastiest of them is the floating, sore-covered Baron Harkonnen, who is one of the most disgusting bad guys ever put on screen. It is unlike anything else. The most famous images are the sandworms, enormous creatures that burst from the sand, and the desert warriors who ride them across the dunes like living trains. Now the money story. Dune cost more than $40 million, a fortune at the time.
Father, today I will avenge your death.
It made only about $30 million. It was a huge bomb, and Lynch was so unhappy that he took his name off some versions of the film. But over the years, people started to see its wild beauty and bold vision. Today, Dune has a devoted following who call it a fascinating, one-of-a-kind experience. It may have failed as a blockbuster, but it succeeded as pure imagination. Number 3. Brazil. What if the government could arrest the wrong man because of a tiny paperwork mistake, and no one cared enough to fix it? Brazil came out in 1985, directed by Terry Gilliam. It is a dark and funny vision of the future. The world is ruled by a giant, clumsy government, drowning in forms and machines. A quiet worker named Sam Lowry does a boring office job and escapes into daydreams where he is a flying hero saving a beautiful woman. Then that exact woman appears in real life, and Sam risks everything to find her. Along the way, he crashes into the cold, silly system. where a simple typing error can ruin a person's whole life. The movie is strange, sad, and hilarious all at once. The most famous part is the whole look of the world, a bizarre blend of old and new machines that feels like a nightmare version of an office building. Here is the money story. The studio hated the film's dark ending and tried to change it. The director fought back in public and even took out a bold newspaper ad demanding they release his version. He won, but the movie still flopped in the United States. The scared studio even made its own happy version with a fake feel-good ending, now seen as a lesson in how not to ruin a movie. Over time, the real version became a legend. Today, Brazil is praised as a masterpiece and a warning about power and paperwork. It proves that the boldest films are often the ones studios are most afraid to release. Number 2. The Thing. What if the monster could look exactly like your best friend, and you had no way to tell who was still human? The Thing came out in 1982, directed by John Carpenter. It is a terrifying science fiction horror film set at a lonely research base in Antarctica. A group of American scientists discovers an alien creature frozen in the ice. But this is no ordinary monster. It can absorb any living thing and copy it perfectly. Once it takes your shape, no one can tell the difference. Soon the men realize the creature is among them, hiding inside one of their own. Trust falls apart. Fear takes over. Any one of them could secretly be the alien, so they turn on each other, not knowing who to believe. The monster effects are still shocking today, made with real puppets and models instead of computers, which is why they look so real and so disgusting. The most famous scene is the blood test, where the men tie each other up and touch a hot wire to their blood to see who is still human. The tension is almost unbearable. Now the money story. The film cost about $15 million and barely made that back, losing money once ads were counted. Critics attacked it, and it opened the same summer as the friendly alien movie E.T., which crushed it. But its reputation grew and grew. Today, The Thing is called one of the greatest horror films ever made, and was even chosen for National Film Preservation. It was hated once. Now it is a masterpiece. Number 1. Blade Runner. What makes someone human? And what if the machines we built started asking that same question? Blade Runner came out in 1982, directed by Ridley Scott. It is now seen as maybe the greatest science fiction film ever made. But it started as a flop. The story is set in a dark, rainy future version of Los Angeles. Harrison Ford plays Rick Deckard, a special cop called a Blade Runner. His job is to hunt down and destroy replicants, human-like machines that have escaped and are hiding among people. But these replicants do not want to die. They want more life, and they feel real emotions. As Deckard hunts them, he starts to wonder what really separates a human from a machine. The film is slow, beautiful, and deeply thoughtful. The most famous scene comes at the end, when a dying replicant, played with sad power by Rutger Hauer, gives a haunting speech about all the amazing things he has seen, moments that will soon vanish, like tears in the rain. Many people call it one of the greatest movie speeches ever written. Now the money story. Blade Runner cost about $30 million and made only around $27 million in its first run. It came out the same summer as E.T. and got buried. Critics were split and audiences were confused, but nothing else looks or feels like it. Today, Blade Runner is worshipped as a masterpiece that shaped all the science fiction that came after. It was ahead of its time, and time finally caught up. So there you have it, 18 movies that the world got completely wrong. They were laughed at, ignored, and dumped in the trash by the very people who made them. Yet every single one turned out to be brilliant. Maybe the lesson is simple. Being ahead of your time can look a lot like failure at first. Which of these flops is your secret favorite? Tell me in the comments, and do not forget to subscribe for more.